Welcome to today's video, guys. Now what we're actually going to be discussing today is whether or not you should actually be foam rolling before your workout. And now Mark Bell actually made a video on this, I think just under a week ago, and he touched on it, and he spoke about it from a psychological perspective, and more from a kind of psychological perspective, and why he doesn't feel it's necessarily that beneficial. You should do it from a psychological perspective, but I'm going to address it whether I think you should actually do it or not from a physiological perspective. And now personally I feel that spending a great deal of time foam rolling just before you work out, or spending really any time foam rolling pre-workout, only really negatively impacts your performance. And let me go into it, and let me kind of talk about why I feel that. Foam rolling itself, what foam rolling itself is going to do is it reduces tension. It reduces tension within the muscles, and by doing so, by reducing lots of tension within the muscles, it can turn those muscles that you need to be tonic, which is tight, to be kind of lax and loose, and that can then inhibit your performance by reducing the overall force production you can produce from within those muscles. So for example, let's say you are squatting and then you go and spend literally like 45 minutes rolling out your hamstrings and your glutes and your quads and your iliotibial band, which is your IT band, and just really getting into the nitty and gritty and spending like 45, 50, maybe even 60 minutes on them and rolling them out. Well then, by doing so, you're going to be reducing a lot of tension within that muscle, and you're going to be turning that tonic muscle into a very phasic muscle, or a lax and loose muscle. And by doing so, you're not going to be able to have the same stretch reflex or be as powerful when you're squatting. And this is where the whole term flexibility needs to be sport specific comes into the matter. That is absolutely true. Your flexibility and your mobility 100% needs to be more sport specific. So for example, is it beneficial for me to have a slightly tonic pec minor, pec major, anterior delts? Absolutely. For benching, yes. But would it be slightly beneficial for an Olympic lifter to have a slightly tonic pec minor, pec major, and anterior deltoid? Probably not, definitely not, because you won't be able to get into the proper overhead press position, and because he needs a lot more mobility within the shoulder. And this is where the whole sport specificity comes into it. I need to be able to have enough mobility and flexibility in my shoulders to perform a full range of motion in my bench press comfortably without pain, to allow myself to get into a proper rack position on squats, and to be able to properly pull a deadlift. And if I can do all of them without any pain, maintain a proper posture, and having a slightly tonic pec minor, pec major front delt is going to be beneficial, because with that being slightly tonic, it is going to allow for more power production and more overall force production on the bench press. And same with your quads and your hamstrings. With all of them being slightly tonic, I'm not talking about overly tonic to the point where it reduces mobility and doesn't allow you to perform exercises efficiently and properly, but if you can perform all of them appropriately and get to the appropriate depth and do all without causing any form of pain, then having slightly tonic muscles is only going to allow you to be more powerful. And that's the whole thing of foam rolling before your workout, spending lots and lots of time foam rolling. And that is going to reduce that hyperactivity, that hypertonic state within the muscle, and it is going to negatively impact your performances, in my opinion. It will definitely reduce the stretch reflex, and just overall, I don't think it's that great an idea. I'm not 100% against going in and maybe using it to maybe crack your back a few times or something along those lines, but I really wouldn't spend a lot of time getting involved in it and spend a lot of time doing it, because I do feel it can only negatively impact your performance. So I hope you found today's video informative. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. If you like the video, like the video. If you're new to the channel, then subscribe to support the channel, and I'll speak to all of you guys tomorrow.